college reaction videos. I noticed a lot of you guys were interested in knowing what my stats were and what extracurriculars I applied with, which is understandable. I feel like I went through that loophole too. I remember right before college applications were due, I would just scroll endlessly for hours, like, what are these people's stats? And then I quit because I realized, you know what, my stats don't compare to them, and that's okay, because these colleges will pull out acceptances from every which way. It's the most random thing ever, while also not being random. Yeah, I'm gonna screen record my iPad. Logging back into Common App is a feeling for sure. Looking back at all of this, this is interesting. I really applied to a lot of colleges. God dang. 17 for a lot of people isn't a lot, but for me, that was a lot. God, the AC. You're gonna hear the AC go on and off, and I'm extremely sorry about that. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm in my dorm. Beautiful tapestry. To make this video, I took inspiration from other people's videos, and so I'm basically gonna divide it into profiles, stats, and activities in the extracurriculars. I hope you enjoy, and I hope it's cohesive and most of it isn't just rubbish. Yep, my name is Aya. Nice to meet you. AYA. Demographics. I am Black, female, Muslim, Sudanese, and the daughter of immigrants. So, I think that's the gist. Languages. English and Arabic. Although I forgot to put Spanish. I noticed a lot of my classmates put Spanish, and it really did not come to mind to put that because I take it as a class. I forgot that in Common App you can specify your skill set. So for example, it says speak, read, write, spoken at home. I could have just put write and read for Spanish, but the girl was a bit too forgetful. Don't do that. Think. Take time in your applications. I believe in you guys. Y'all are better than me. I think that's it for profile. No, it's not it. I guess I could say I'm from Florida. Yeah, I come from a suburban town outside Jacksonville. I went to a school that had a bit under 2,000 students, and I was in the IB program, which is a plus when you're applying. Being an IB and taking AP classes, either or, they're not mutually exclusive, is candy for colleges. But even if your school doesn't offer AP or IB classes, it's important for the college admissions to be able to see that you took the hardest level classes at your school, even if they weren't AP or IB classes. I would advise you to try to take them, especially if you're gonna apply to like T20 schools, because that is very important. Personally, I've got a vendetta against AP. I think IB is better, a little bit. Let's move on. Let's move on. Before I begin, let's give you a rundown of all the schools I applied to. Am I pointing to the right thing? It'll just show up here, because I don't remember all of them from the top of my head. These are the schools. This was my overall, I guess, success rate. Okay, let's talk about stats. So in a class over 400 people, I managed to rank 10, which I am very happy about. My number one goal was like, I just want to be top 10. Yeah, and the fact that I right there. So my unweighted GPA was not a 4.0, not a 3.9, but a 3.8. And I don't want to sound tone deaf when I say that, but a 3.8 is great. It's good. What I'm saying is it's okay to not be a perfect 4.0. The world's not gonna crumble. Everything is fine. The sun still shines. Rain still comes. You're good. So my weighted GPA was a 4.51, random digits, which I'm pretty proud about. I like that. I was in the IB program, so a lot of my classes that I took were IB oriented. Freshman year, I took one AP Human Geography, And then sophomore year was my AP year. I took AP Psych, AP Spanish, AP World History, and AP English Language and Composition. Flash forward junior year, the first year of the actual IB diploma program, I took IB Spanish, HL, IB English, HL, IB History, HL, Math, specifically Analysis and Approaches, SL, IB Sports Exercise Science, SL, and IB Biology, HL. Now the HL courses were all 2 years, so I took those classes into senior year. The SL classes were only 1 year. I also took TOK, Theory of Knowledge, junior year and senior year. So senior year, I took the latter half of those HL courses, and I also took AP Physics C, Mechanics, if you know, you know. And yeah, basically. And finally, ACT/SAT. Can't you tell? I just love test scores. I think they're really indicative of who you are as a person. Those numbers really define you. Now, I did take both the ACT and the SAT, but I only ended up submitting my ACT score. I super scored 33 ACT. I got a 30 in science. I got a 32 in math. I got a 35 in English, and I got a 33 in reading. So add that all up and divide by 4, 32.5, rounded up to a 33. I love the ACT. If you can, please do take both the ACT and SAT. Do not limit yourself to one. You'll find most likely that you like one more than the other. And if you don't, that's okay. But by just taking one, you're limiting yourself. Don't do that. Please take both. If you can, please do. I forgot to also mention that I did dual enrollment over the summers. So summer of junior year and summer of senior year, I took a total of 4 classes. I took financial literacy, medical terminology, astronomy, and intro to sociology. First, I put National African American Recognition Program. Next, I have some pageant awards. So basically, I did my school pageant back in junior year, and it was very fun. Wouldn't do a pageant again though, and I knew that going into it. I was like, this will be a fun one-time experience, and that was exactly what it was. Although I did not win the entire pageant, I was able to go home as the talent and community outreach winner, which was pretty cool. Next, I have just some regional science fair awards, number 3 and 4. So they're both 3rd place. One of them is in chemistry, 2020, and the other one is in environmental science, 2021. And then lastly, I put honor societies. I just inserted them in bulk. I was like, I don't have one specifically that I particularly feel strongly about. So I put Mu Alpha Theta, which is like Math Honor Society, National Science Honor Society, National Spanish Honor Society. Okay, activities. First activity I put was music oriented. I put my role as a piano student. I put 1 hour per week. In the activity section, you need to put the amount of hours per week or month, or how much time you contributed to each activity. Make sure it makes sense when you add them all up, because I've seen certain applications where it's like exceeding the amount of hours that you can possibly have to yourself. It's like, that's a bit suspicious. Just don't lie. Don't ever try to inflate your application, because the college admissions officers can smell that from like a mile away. And then as another activity, I put another music-oriented activity, except it was more so community service. So I taught piano lessons for free, and that took about 2 hours per week. And then as another activity, I put academic team, which is basically like a congregation for trivia nerds, basically. The next activity I put was Multicultural Awareness Society. We called it Multicultural Club. That was fun. The next activity is environmental based. I was in my school's Earth Club. In general, I would say the clubs that you join is a great space to meet new friends outside of the classroom that you might share interests with, and it's pretty cool. Next, I put Beta Club. I was co-president with my friend. Beta Club, if you don't know what it is, it's basically like another version of National Honor Society. It's an honor society based on like service and scholar. You get it. And then as an activity, I put the pageant that I talked about, that I did junior year. And then I put FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. I was secretary. Then I put my role in my county superintendent student advisory council. And finally, I have debate club. If there is one motif that is reoccurring throughout multiple people's YouTube videos on their stats or college admissions or whatnot, I've seen debate club so many times. Speech and debate club, call it what you will. It's funny. A good practice, I would say, is if you can't seemingly do well on the test scores, like the ACT and SAT, compensate for that by having a high GPA. And if your GPA is a bit on the lower side, compensate for that for having a bit of a higher test score. Good question. I don't know. So basically, I got into all my Florida schools, so that was great. So once I got into UF, I was like, okay, nothing else matters. You know, like if I get rejected from all these out-of-state schools, I'm set. But then I actually got into some of these out-of-state schools. When I got into NYU, I told my parents, hold on, let's wait until we get this financial aid package, because I know NYU is notorious for not giving any aid or being very stingy about the amount of aid they have. So when I did get back my financial aid package, there was nothing. And so I was like, obviously, no. So Berkeley was also booted off the list because it was too expensive. So at this point, NYU and UC Berkeley are out of the list. And I was actually going back and forth between UF and UNC. I was veering a bit more towards UNC as an option until a week before May 1st, which is National College Commitment Day. I got an email from NYU saying I should open up my application portal, and there it was, a scholarship. And at first I thought the scholarship was for all 4 years, but then it said renewable. So then I screamed. Basically, it was a big chunk of money each year. So in combination with my external scholarships, that would make NYU a viable option. So at that point, it was like, what do I do? I booted out UF because I was like, I don't want to stay in Florida anymore. And then I tried making a pros and cons list for both NYU and UNC. That didn't end up getting finished. And so I watched videos online. I was like, what do I do? And this one girl said that you should imagine yourself at either campus for a day and think of which school you would regret not going to. And I found that I was more regretful when I chose UNC over NYU, because UNC was practically the safe option. But same day, May 1st, it was like 4 p.m. I was like, college deposit. And I washed my hands off that. Yeah. So in general, when you're choosing what college to apply to, I would say there are like 4 or 5 factors you think about deeply. Cost of attendance. Prestige might matter to some of you guys, it might not. Programs. So what specifically does the school offer for your selected major or career? And finally, the climate of the school. Is it a small local town school or a big school with like 30,000 undergrad students? Your pick. Which environment do you think you would thrive in the most? And don't stress. Don't stress too much over your stats. The college admissions process is very holistic. If there's one word I can call it, it's holistic. Good luck.